This is the third colour palette of Huely 2022, and this time we have a quite warm toned colour palette consisting of yellow, cream, peach, brown and a warm blue. Huely is my limited colour palette art challenge that I run during July. The name of the challenge stems from the month it takes place and hue, which is another word for colour, so I mashed the two words together and got Huely. The aim of the challenge is to create images using only 5 colours, though black and white can also be used. It's also possible to mix the colours and use transparencies and different layer styles. As you can see from my initial thumbnails, I hadn't quite figured out what to paint just yet. However, after some sketches, I realised that this colour palette was perfect for landscapes as well. Therefore, I decided to add to the Japanese destination posters that I started with Huely's first colour palette. When I sketched these, I both decided on the destination themselves, but I also tried out the different colour combinations that I could think of. And I ended up really liking the idea of giving them all a yellow sky, which also goes hand in hand with 2 of my favourite Japanese destination posters that I painted with that first colour palette. First up is Itsukushima Shrine, and it's not the first time I've painted this scenery. In fact, it was part of my Japan-inspired Inktober series from 2019. Itsukushima Shrine is located in Hiroshima Prefecture. The shrine is known for its grand torii gate that stands in the Seto Inland Sea, but it's also known for friendly deer, which aren't pictured in this painting. The warm colour palette really reminded me of a sunset, especially with the warm yellows and the red, but also that warm blue. So of course, I had to set the image at this time of day. This also meant that I was able to make the torii gate the focus by keeping it in the darkest colour, brown. However, as the image progressed, I decided to break up that big harsh silhouette and add hints to the actual red colour used in the torii gate. After Huely was over, I went back to make amends to these destination posters. Part of that was to make sure that the typography and text placement was consistent throughout the series, but I also went in to make sure the use of brushes and textures was consistent as well. Of course, there shouldn't be much of a surprise that I've gone in and finalised the typography in Photoshop, as that is part of the workflow that works best for me. It also means that whatever typography is visible in these process videos were there for my reference to make sure I added enough space for the text. I should also add that it was really nice to go back and fix inconsistencies and issues that I could see after having a break from the images. However, this was mostly done as I wanted to make these destination posters available as prints, and my favourites are up on my in-print shop. Next up is Meoto Iwa, or the weathered rocks found in Mie Prefecture. The rocks are tied together with 5 Shimenawa ropes, which are made from rice, straw or hemp. There are multiple weathered rocks found in Japan, but this one might be one of the most well-known ones. And if you're lucky, you might be able to spot Mount Fuji in the distance on a clear day. Personally, I also really like this destination, as there's a torii gate at the top of the biggest rock. This can really help set the scale of the rocks themselves, but also the rope that's tied between the two. It's probably more visible in this image that I'm also using some very textured brushes. This includes that rake-like brush that I made that creates parallel lines and is really great for hatching. And of course, I'm also using that half-tone brush that I've become so fond of. These brushes have been really great to add the textures I wanted, especially with the rocks, but also for the water itself. And I haven't created that many brushes myself, but I'm all for creating your own brushes or buying brushes that will help speed things up in your painting process and make your life easier. I have only been able to cover so much about the process and images in this video, so if there's anything you wish I covered that I haven't, please let me know so I can cover it in a future video. Unfortunately, I only created 6 destination posters focused on Japan during Huely 2022, though I know Japan is such an awesome country and I would love to continue this series at a later time. So, if you have any suggestions of destinations in Japan that could be part of this series of posters, drop me a line in the comments. And finally, we have Kyoto in Kyoto Prefecture. The main focus of this painting is Yasuka Pagoda, as seen from the historic Higashiyama district. Truth be told, the plan for the image was to paint more of the Higashiyama district, though as I got started with painting the pagoda itself, I got a bit discouraged and I chose to make a more cropped version where I show far less buildings in the foreground. And honestly, architecture really isn't my forte, so no wonder I got discouraged because I'm just not good at painting loads and loads of buildings under pressure. Because what also comes into play with these images is that I have a set amount of time to finish each image, because it's an art challenge after all, and part of the aim, or part of my aim at least, is to complete the image that day so it can be posted on social media. So with that in mind, I knew that it just wasn't possible for me to give all the architecture the attention it needed in the time frame I had set for myself for this individual image. Overall, I'm quite pleased with how these 3 images turned out. There was of course a sunset-sunrise kind of theme going round, but that's because that really suited this specific colour palette. I have to say that one thing I feel I got a lot better at while creating these destination posters was painting clouds. This is because I've always found it a bit tricky to paint believable clouds, as they can very often seem more cartoony than natural. But for these images, I feel like I struck a really good balance where they still feel more natural, yet are simplified and fit the style of the image really well. Thank you so much for watching. More process videos are up on my YouTube channel, and check out my social media accounts and my website for more of my work.